Hey guys, how you doing? Ugo here, and this is the 99 days of value, and this is day 21. And you can see I'm liking my Mickey Mouse hoodie. And so I hope you're having a lovely day. What's called? So today, what we're going to be talking about is kind of an offshoot of what we were talking about yesterday around expectations. Uh, but this one is going to be talking around communication and beyond communication, because everybody understands that we should communicate. And what you find sometimes is that people who feel like they're very effective communicators may not always be the best communicators. We can all do better, because sometimes we're the best communicators in certain settings. Somebody can be a good communicator at work, but doesn't necessarily mean you're a good communicator at home. Some people are good communicator in, let's say, in their sports or in their club, doesn't mean they're best communicator in like PTA meetings. Sometimes we're shy and sometimes we don't get it across. Sometimes we assume, as per expectations, that people are understanding what we're trying to say. But again, you're not a whole human being, so communication is vital for these things. But the offshoot of communication and how to bridge the gap between two different people, because I always say that, human conflict is kind of forever going to happen. It's never going to stop. And I tell you this because, like this, what happens when your good view of the world versus this good view of this world clashes? What does it happens when two people's version of right clashes? If I'm doing what I'm doing for the betterment of my family and you're doing for what the betterment of your family, there's a possibility that's going to clash. And so in order for your expectation of what you're trying to do from me and otherwise, we're all doing for the benefit of whatever we class as a community, and ultimately we come down to one huge race of the human race, but we've subdivided ourselves. And maybe one day we'll unite ourselves, but then the only way to bridge this again has always been and will definitely be communicating, whether that be communicating with your fist or with your words. And so this today I'm talking about debating, and how you having arguments, debates, conversations are very much vital, important things for you to do, engage on, and try to have. Now, people run away from conflict, but don't understand that running away from conflict means your conflict will never be resolved. It's just like running away from the GP or running away from doctors, so your health issue might never be resolved because you're running away from a potential place where it has solution. Yes, they might have to do diagnostics. Yes, they might have to do a couple of differentials, may try a couple of things, but that's the process for you to get to the point where in your solution. Problem solving comes through trying things and kind of like a scientific method, experimentation, and you get there. It's the same thing with life. And so debating is a very important quality to have as an individual, because it takes skills that you might not necessarily want to have, and that's one: listening, hearing, listening to understand, understanding in order to respond. I didn't say listen to respond. Listen to understand, understanding to respond. Um, with an open mind to educate, an open mind to understand, open mind to learn, and expect that this person could teach me something, and understanding, trying to find common ground, or even if there isn't common ground, finding some way to kind of bring this person to your side, intellectually in the conversation. Or again, if you look at martial arts or boxing or fights, it's still a communication style, as they're punching and they're dancing, all this kind of thing, they're still communicating. But I'm obviously more talking about productive ways, because we're in the hopefully we're in a functioning society. But running away from conversations, however it be more kind of like explosive, means that it's going to stay in that steady state of being explosive. And so debate is a very important thing for you to be able to establish yourself as a human being, in order for you to communicate your ideas, understand ideas, flash out your ideas, and actually make a change in the relationship between you and somebody else. Now, there's no such thing as a conflictless relationship, and people who, a lot of times when people avoid trying to have conflict, it just means that they're hiding the truth of what they want to say, hiding their feelings and not really communicating. And that, it leads to a lot of passive aggressiveness and a lot of kind of like secretive, backward situations where you're doing things in the shadows and people are not really understanding where people are. And the best way to win a debate and bring somebody to the other side is honestly by understanding the other side. If you're always in a debate and you don't understand the other person's side, the likelihood is that you're going to lose. And there's an interesting thing. Well, I say it's a quote, but it's like a saying that, like, in war, when you come to understand your enemy, you actually start to love them and have some empathy for them because you understand them. And so in war, and like in that's the reason why, like, a lot of let's say back to like the boxing kind of thing, is that when you see two people who are hungry to fight, hungry to make it out of their situation or to succeed in this, they understand each other. There may be some level of hate or whatever, but they understand each other. That's why at the end there's a mutual respect, even though notwithstanding they're going to kind of try and dominate or win this thing. And that's the same thing with a debate. Now, a debate can be productive without a winner, because it's just having a conversation and progressing ourselves above. But then ultimately as well, it's also in terms of communicating your idea and getting your idea across. If you can't debate, you can't, if you're scared of arguments, conversations and debates, and they're all three different things, and being able to function within those is very important. So my point of today's day of value is to understand that, look, if you are not very good at communicating, then this is regardless of you're an extrovert, introvert, there's a way to communicate effectively that suits every individual. And there's obviously people who are representative across the board, public speakers, world debaters, those kind of things that fit every spectrum. Get better at communicating. Now, when you step up from being able to better communicate, get better with debating and having conversations and communicating your ideas. And you won't understand how to communicate ideas until you actually start talking. And in the beginning, it might sound like nonsense, but the more you talk, the more you'll be able to communicate ideas effectively. And when you're able to do those, then it heavily improves your public speaking. And so public speaking is a good aspect, but public speaking and debating are two different skills. Being able to process yourself in an argument, keep your composure and understand the other persons and understand the cues are two different things. But that feeds back into you trying to get your thoughts across. If, let's say, you were doing a business deal and somebody says elevator pitch, you're supposed to summarize your point in a minute. Okay, when questions are asked and somebody's disagreeing with you, how are you going to deal with these disagreements productively? We have levels of debate in our life every day, and engaging in those conversations is where it's the point in which where you kind of have to quote unquote change hearts and minds, by being able to kind of bounce back from those things. And so our expectations that we have from other people, as we said yesterday, or the differences we have with other people, or trying, we're in a place where society's quote unquote trying to bring each other back together, but sometimes we have unproductive conversations because we're in conversations where no one's trying to listen to each other, no one's trying to understand each other, everyone is just trying to get their point across and feels that their point is right. Well, we have a lot of people in the world and a lot of different opinions, and typically people say the truth is somewhere in the middle. And even if you have a great idea, if you're not able to communicate it and B, effectively defend it as per debate, no one's going to listen to your idea. And understanding these skills is an important thing for you to breathe any change that you're feeling that you want to do. Then you understand it's an important thing to do. So how to solve it? Start having a bit more conversations. It doesn't really matter the topic you're trying to have conversations in, but start in areas that you're competent in. Start in areas that you understand and flesh it out. Conversations is an interesting one because conversations and speaking in general take different aspects. Teaching is its own aspect, public speaking is its own aspect, debates is its aspect, conversation have its own aspect. There's some people who are really good at podcasts as per conversation that are not really great in debates in terms of holding their opinions to the fire. And there's people who aren't good in arguments in terms of, even if it goes explosive, they can keep their calm. These different communication skills and stuff like that have different facets, which growing your skills in that will add so much value in dealing with conflict resolution, strengthening your relationship, strengthening your ability to influence people positively or negatively, your choice, and your ability to kind of function within the society we're in, because this society runs on so many different levels of politics. But understand that when I said in the first day of value that your network is your net worth, understand that it's people that is the backbone of everything that we do here. So being able to effectively influence, communicate, and defend your points against other people is very important. But being able to understand, listen to understand, is even a greater skill. You know, when they say that you've got two ears and one mouth, so you're supposed to listen as twice you speak, but it doesn't mean that you half the quality. You know, it's interesting that the holes in your ear are smaller than the holes in your mouth. So even though it takes two to listen, when you're speaking, you want quality to come out. And so these things get better and sharper with time as you continue to try and communicate ideas, start in areas that you're competent in, and start venturing areas you don't understand to try and understand more. And, try to have a conversation. And try to learn how to ask questions, because a lot of times when it's in debate, conversation and stuff like that, a lot of times people think that they don't, they're not getting the right answers to their questions, whether that be in a debate, whether that be in a conversation. 9 times out of 10, it's not about the answers you're getting. You're just not asking the right questions. And so being able to effectively communicate, and I am talking value of debating, but I'm talking about all forms of communications, which are different styles and different realms to kind of do. Try yourself to get better in all these kind of things, because it will definitely add value into the quality of your relationships. You have an argument, you're going to have arguments in your relationship. How do you match that? Do they go into arguments, or does it go into healthy debates where you can somehow keep your cool, not necessarily feel attacked because you're staying towards the object of what you guys are talking about, even though there is an emotive component, especially with these debates are brought out of emotional situations, but trying to bring it into some level of resolution, understanding that conversations is really what drives the world. Conversations is really what gets all these things going, and these conversations lead to decisions that are made to affect all our lives. Similarly, in your household, is the debates and conversations between husband and wife, mother and father, partners, that will lead to the decisions you take on your children. And similarly, it's just kind of a ripple effect of that. And so being able to effectively debate, communicate your ideas. So try having conversations, try putting try and get into the habit of trying to debate, try to understand conversations, flesh out your ideas. Start off with small stuff, start off with areas of competencies. Maybe join a debate club if you're a public speaking area or something like that to kind of get your skills better. But understanding that your voice, your word is probably one of the most important things and skill, assets that you have to your disposal to deploy as an effective tool for you to navigate and imprint yourself on this world. So this is a very big day of value, and hopefully tomorrow's one will provide you more value. Try to learn how to debate. Try to debate as much as possible, because ultimately it's like a muscle. So you stay ready. Like I say, I don't have to get ready if I stay ready. And in this life, you gotta be ready to defend yourself, physically, obviously in the terms of quote unquote health, but as well as verbally, because Lord knows those things make things move. And yeah, communication is very key in this life and very important for you to function properly, because again, that's the only way you're gonna somehow, like I said, we're all in our own movie, and through communication, somehow we go from having, Iron Man 1, 2, 3, 4, Captain America, to having the Avengers. And you had all of them come together, and Infinity War, and you understand? So all those movies come together only came through people communicating with each other and trying to come together. Like Avengers 1, I know everyone's watched Avengers, so that's why I'm using it. They had disagreements, and they found a way to resolve it by different ideas. Captain America, Iron Man had different ideologies and came to some resolution in that they came to work together. And ultimately, what you find is that the person you might disagree with the most might end up becoming your best friend and might become your best compatriot, because all these things are formed through debate, conversations. Because when you actually come to understand your enemy, you'll be surprised how much you might actually care and love for that person, because misunderstandings means we misuse our relationships. So I hope you've had a lovely day. I hope you're taking care of yourself. This is the 99 Days of Value. Take care and bless.